What's going on, YouTube, man? You already know it's Berto TV, man. We back with another video. I'm actually pretty excited about this video, man. This is about a former artist, or I don't know if he's current artist right now because I'm not really up to date, but it's a former artist from personally my high school era. So, you know we just gonna check it out, and I'm not really gonna say too much because I know most of what's going on with the situation. But for the viewers that don't really know what's going on, I'm not gonna say anything because I'm pretty sure he gonna explain everything. We talking about Ugly God, man. You don't know who Ugly God is? Basically, Ugly God is a DJ slash producer slash artist. He came up with Lil Yachty. I believe they were either friends or family, something like that. I'm not really too sure, so if you know, comment below. But yeah, um, not really gonna get too deep, but he ended up doing something, and I guess changing, and it altered his life. That's all I'm gonna say. He ended up doing something, and it altered his life, and yeah, he might not ever make music again. We don't know. So yeah, we're gonna check it out, see what he gotta say. Not sure who this is. Twisted World. Shout out Twisted World. He on the grind. So yeah, we're gonna do a reaction to this video on how Ugly God lost it all. So yeah, let's check it out.
Ugly God, a name that when you hear probably brings back a lot of memories of simpler times. And that's because during the time that this guy was really blowing up in the
Yeah, that's really what I meant to say, because most of y'all know him by that water, 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 water. Yeah, y'all know that shit is. Yeah, that shit used to go hard, cuz the nigga with the lizard on his nose. He used to put the lizard on his nose. Yeah, that shit hard.
game, things were very different. But not only different, but a little bit more peaceful as well. Because it seems like from the years of 2015 to around 2017 that hip hop for once wasn't really about violence. It wasn't about gang culture and it wasn't about killing people. Instead, it was about having fun, making good music, and partying. And while we would unfortunately learn in a couple years' time that all that partying definitely had its downsides, for a moment in time it really felt like hip hop was all about being colorful, having fun, making ignorant music, trolling on Instagram.
That's what a lot of the old heads do not like. That's what I want to say. A lot of old heads do not like that music because it don't have no meaning to it. But sometimes music don't need a meaning to it. You just need a vibe. You need to feel good. You need to feel a certain way. And I do agree that it is good for songs to have meanings, and it's a category. And I feel like it's a time and a place for what I want to listen to. And I got categories of all things. I listen to everything. I ain't I'm a diverse ass person. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's just my opinion on that.
Well, doing drugs. And in that small pocket of time, there was many artists who were able to hop on the wave and blow up almost overnight. A lot of people do talk about Little Pump as being one of the fastest blow-ups during that era, but I feel like Ugly God blew up even faster than that. With him going from
Man,
your
Ugly
average
Guy did come
run-of-the-mill
up.
college student in mid-2016 with maybe a handful of songs on SoundCloud, all the way to one of the biggest rappers in the game in mid-2017, getting on the front of the XXL freshman list, getting songs with millions of views, and, well, being talked about by basically everybody in the game. But despite all of that, his overall presence in the rap game has really seemed to fade as the years went on, which is pretty common for anybody that blew up during the SoundCloud era, but I feel like Ugly God has faded even more than most. I mean, at least every once in a while, at least
I'm just putting it out here. We're not gonna watch this whole video because it's 40 minutes long, but we gonna watch some of it, and I'm gonna give my opinion. And yeah, so y'all can go check it out. I'm put his link in the bio too.
couple times a year, you'll see Little Pump and Smoke Perp pop up for something stupid that they did online, but Ugly God is basically completely MIA. So why is that? Is it just another case of a young, dumb, ignorant rapper blowing up with his music way too fast before then getting into drug use, becoming lazy, and eventually fading away because he's not satisfying his fans enough? Well, I think it goes a little bit deeper than that, and we're going to discuss all of that when we look into the story of Ugly God. Royce Cornell Davison Rodriguez was born September 19th, 1996 in Fort Wayne, Indiana,
Man,
although he wouldn't spend
last name Rodriguez. This man probably mixed. That's crazy. I ain't know that.
long there. And this is because Ugly God's father had a job that meant that he had to move around quite a bit for work, although we don't know what this job is because Ugly God has been very private about his personal life, with us not even really being sure how many siblings that he has. He does for sure have one older sister that he has talked about publicly before, but besides that, we don't know if he's the youngest, we don't know if he's the middle, but overall it really doesn't change a whole lot, so let's continue on. After leaving Indiana when Ugly God was only 1 month old, the family would then move to Mississippi, where Ugly God would spend the first 4 years of his life. Now, of course, these years were pretty uneventful, as after all, from 1 to 4, you don't really do a whole lot besides poop your pants and, well, eat baby food. But one important thing that would happen during this time is that Ugly God would meet a friend that lived up the street going by the name of Brett, and Brett would teach him a very important life skill. Did Brett teach him how to do his taxes? Did Brett teach him how to fight off a bear? Did Brett teach him how to find love? No, none of the above. He actually taught him a much more important skill of how to catch lizards. And if you know anything about Ugly God's career, catching lizards would become a very big part of his career, which is kind of weird to say out loud, but either way, that's how he learned. But unfortunately, him and Brett's friendship wouldn't be long lasting, as soon after that, Ugly
Y'all remember now? It's the dude. It's the dude that used to put the lizards on his nose. And he used to do that shit, bruh. I ain't gonna lie. This, like in my era, all the kids and stuff in high school that came up with me, this was the wave. So niggas was doing shit. Niggas was doing all type of dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? It was dumb shit. Niggas love doing dumb shit. So yeah, this was some of the shit. So he started this. Yeah.
would once again move and they would never see each other again. But some legends do say that Brett is still out there somewhere in Australia hunting bigger and bigger lizards by the day, and someday he might actually end up discovering a lizard that nobody's ever seen before, and when he does, he's definitely going to dedicate that to Ugly God. Okay, none of that shit actually happened besides him teaching Ugly God how to catch lizards, but either way, the family would once again relocate, this time to Cleveland, Ohio, where they would spend a couple years. And this is of course where Ugly God would first enroll in school, where he said that he was a pretty popular kid at the time, with him being funny and being able to catch the attention of other kids, although it's not super hard to be popular when you're like 5 years old. And this is also where he would start to find a lot of his early interest, for example, watching the Pokemon anime on TV, playing the first couple generations of Pokemon on his Game Boy, as well as playing Pokemon Snap on his N64. So yeah, the kid really liked Pokemon, but I mean, who didn't during the early 90s, or honestly mid 2000s? I mean, everybody basically likes Pokemon growing up, except for people who pretend that they don't.
I didn't watch Pokemon growing up, but I got into it when I'm older. And yeah, I'm kind of blowed. I ain't got into it when I'm young, so it is what it is, though. I'm an early 2000s baby, 2000 on the dot actually.
If you don't play Pokemon, you're lame as fuck. That's Ugly God approved as well. The family really only stayed in Cleveland, Ohio for a couple years before once again relocating, this time to Houston, Texas, where they would actually stick for quite a while from the ages of around 5 to 11, which meant that he spent a lot of his formative years there, with him even saying to this day that he's actually from Texas, which would make a lot of people mad in his future career, saying that he's not actually from there if he wasn't born there and didn't stay there his entire life. But I mean, he was moving around so much, what do you want him to say? However, unfortunately, he wouldn't be able to stay there during his teenage years, with the family once again moving when he was 11 years old, this time to Louisiana, which they didn't really stick around that long, a couple years again, with them finally landing in Mississippi the summer before Ugly God was supposed to enroll in grade 8. And it was during this summer that Ugly God would meet his best friend Ronaldo, somebody who will become very important later on in this story, but for right now, the way that they met is through a couple mutual friends. Ronaldo was basically hanging out at his place with his parents not home, and he ended up inviting a couple people over.
Yeah, I don't know who Ronaldo is, but I'm guessing this dude in the back. I don't know. We gonna see.
Ugly God ended up coming, and they basically made fun of him the entire time. They made fun of the way he dressed, they made fun of the way he looked, with him describing himself as being a black ass dude with pink ass lips, which apparently led a lot of people to call him ugly. And they even made fun of his ringtone, which should definitely be off limits. I mean, leave a man's ringtone alone. But either way, it didn't seem to get to Ugly God all that bad, and the two of them would form a friendship soon after that, with Ronaldo always having his back throughout the rest of his life. But unfortunately, being made fun of and getting bullied wouldn't be something that would stop there, because once he got into grade 8 and started playing basketball, it seemed like he became even less popular than he was before. And it's not even because he was bad at basketball, he was actually pretty good at it. It was more so the fact that he would try to be the class clown, which ended up pissing off a lot of his fellow students, as well as even pissing off the teachers, because in his own words, he was really good in school but would also fuck around, which made them even more upset than they would have been if he was a bad student. Which I think is kind of dumb, because if you're getting your work done and you're doing well on it, I don't think the teacher should be pissed off at you, but I wasn't there. I don't know how annoying Ugly God was at the time, so maybe he was doing some crazy shit like taking a shit on his desk. If he was
I ain't gonna lie. I done had some annoying people in my class. So I know exactly what he talking about. The dude that's making the video, I don't know what you talking about. But me personally, dog, man, I done had some annoying people. So I know, motherfuckers, you just wanna fight, you know what I'm saying? Like, shut up, cuz.
something like that, I understand why everybody was mad at him. And this man was actually so hated that he was booed at his own pep rally. I don't really know what the reason behind this was, but he describes a lot of his friends booing him, his own girlfriend at the time booing him, and even a couple teachers booing him, which is fucking crazy. That's the type of event that will turn any man into a supervillain, and after that all went down, Ugly God stopped trying to be funny, he stopped trying to get attention, he put his head down and tried to be like everybody else. Which unfortunately didn't really seem to work for him, because he was still getting bullied, with him even getting jumped one time when he was in grade 10, with basically everybody that he was with running away and not helping him, except for his buddy Ronaldo, so shout out to Ronaldo, he's definitely a real one. And this is the
Damn, so that man really grew up getting bullied. Like, that's all wild, man. And look at where he was at, man. See, that's what I'm telling y'all. Y'all need to stop doing that, bro. 'Cause y'all never know how people gonna turn out in the future, bro. Like, y'all gotta stop doing that. Like, for all y'all future kids and stuff that's growing up, still in school, all of that, bullying ain't cool, bro. Like, it's not cool. That's not the way to go. You know, if you don't like somebody, keep your distance, bro. That's what I say.
moment that Ugly God really became a villain. He was tired of being called ugly, he was tired of getting beat up, so he decided that he was going to create a YouTube channel around 2013 under the name of Pussy Bacon. And what was he going to do on that channel? He was going to get racist. Yeah, that's right. Apparently Ugly God actually got his start in the world of music by posting songs on his YouTube channel that had a lot of racist lyrics. Now, we can't find any of this. He has it all deleted, and probably for a good reason, so we don't really know the topic matter, but you could probably guess what type of shit it is. And all I'm really going to say about that is Ugly God beat Little Darky to the punch by about 2 years, so he definitely is the OG racist rapper, which we really got to give him props for. Okay, honestly, we don't. I mean, yeah, we probably shouldn't give him props for that shit. And let's be honest, Shane Dawson bodies all of them, so
That's
shout out to Shane Dawson. Okay,
funny.
never mind.
Dang. That man blew up off of making racist stuff. I did not know that. I knew he blew up off of making like weird, like, weird songs, but I ain't know it was racist. That's funny. Damn. Some like South Park, Family Guy type music industry type shit.
Move on. After taking down all these songs, he would then go on to do skits on YouTube, which are now also removed and can't be found in any capacity, which honestly is probably for the best. We all did embarrassing skits on YouTube when we first started off. We all wanted to be like Smosh, and luckily for most of us, nobody will ever find those. So with the racist music not really working out for him and the skits not really working out, he instead decided to go back to the drawing board, and this time he decided to create a rap song going by the name of I Beat My Meat.
I'm jaking it. I'm jaking it.
Which pretty well sounds exactly how you would expect it to, and honestly, it's pretty good for something that somebody created as a joke in 2013.
Bitch, I beat my meat.
See, now this song, this is what I heard, bro. And this is like the first song I heard by this man. I was like, bro, what the hell? I thought it was hilarious, bro. Like, I couldn't stop laughing, bro. This I was like funny as hell to me, bro. I don't know why. I was on some like dumbass shit.
Fuck about what you think.
He says that he was heavily inspired by Lil B around the time. I'm not really sure if that's true, but either way, he ended up uploading the song. He ended up making his own homemade music video that he shot on an iPhone 4, which unfortunately is also now lost to history, and a couple people ended up checking it out. But unfortunately, one of the people who saw this song was his basketball coach, who told him that he should take it down if he wanted to have any hopes of getting into college basketball. So of course, Ugly God listened and ended up removing it. And surprisingly, there's actually another song from 2013 by Ugly Ugly God that goes by the name of Complete Nipple, which was posted on a SoundCloud by somebody named Little Henjin. There's not really a whole lot of information about this song of who a Little Henjin actually is, but I assume it was probably somebody that Ugly God went to high school with.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
As time went on, even with his music now deleted off of YouTube, Ugly God would still try to get more attention online by making a Twitter account which also had the handle of Young Pussy Bacon. But after his parents noticed what he was doing, they asked him if he could change his name, so he decided to change it to Ugly God. And there's not really a whole lot of deep meaning behind this name. Basically, everybody would call him ugly. He felt like he was the ugliest man to ever live, so he called himself Ugly God. And now that he had changed his name, he decided to create a SoundCloud account in 2014 where he would once again re-upload Beat My Meat, but unfortunately, another basketball coach would notice that he uploaded it on there and once again asked him to take it down. Fetish motherfuckers, they definitely are more dedicated to their craft than anybody else. You gotta give them some respect. I'm sorry, toe people, you're not motherfuckers, you're toe fuckers, alright? I'll get that right. But none of these songs really matter to pursue all the new opportunities that were handed to him. With him immediately getting a chance to fly out to Chicago to perform at the first ever Summer Smash. Now keep in mind this wasn't as big as it would soon become in the following years, but he was still able to get around some pretty big rappers like Lil Yachty, Warhol SS, and Famous Dex. And forming a connection with these guys.
He didn't know Lil Yachty. Okay. I don't know. I just thought they knew or was like related because they always was around each other a lot and stuff. So like, okay, that's informing me, and I guess for people who didn't know. So yeah. So he flew out to Summer Smash and connected with a lot of these people. Shout out Lil Yachty. Fuck Famous Dex.
Is definitely a good idea because Warhol SS had already gained a lot of attention in LA. Lil Yachty
Shout out Warhol.
about to be massive, and Famous Dex basically already was huge. So creating music with all these guys was definitely a good idea and would ensure that Ugly God would have even more hits, at least in the underground, and he would immediately capitalize on that by getting Rich the Kid on the remix of Water. And at the time, Rich the Kid was another really big rapper, but because Ugly God knew Famous Dex, he was able to get this feature for completely free, which helped Water get even bigger than it already was. Soon after remixing that track, he would then hop on another song with an artist named Carnage called Rari, which had features from both him, Famous Dex, and Lil Yachty, so that was definitely a huge collab for 2016. And he wouldn't slow down after that either, with him immediately getting another feature from Famous Dex, as well as another artist named Trill Sammy on the track Let's Do It, which now sits at over 12 million views on.
Him and Famous Dex did make a lot of tracks and stuff back in the days, back when I did like Famous Dex and whatnot, but I don't, mess with him, no, but that's not a point. Anyways, yeah, him and Famous Dex did make a lot of songs. Damn, shout out Trill Sammy too, man. These are a lot of like prime 2016, 2017 era artists, you know what I'm saying?
Star Hip Hop alone, and it's not even a music video, it's simple audio. After those couple tracks, he would then go to LA to perform at Ham at Everything alongside Famous Dex once again, with Little House Phone being the opener. And during the time that all of this was happening, he was also dropping a lot of music with an artist by the name of Wintertime. Now, I'm not really sure how the two of them met, and actually Wintertime.
Shout out Wintertime, bro. These are all like artists that I listened to like back growing up in high school, man. Some of them I listen to, some of them I don't no more. But like, damn, man, like I forgot all about this man Wintertime. That's wild, bro. I wonder what he doing.
Is a very mysterious artist altogether, so maybe I'll do a video on him in the future, but either way, those songs were also doing numbers and Ugly God was definitely rising fast. After the Ham on Everything show, he would immediately do a No Jumper interview, followed up by a DJ Vlad interview, and in this DJ Vlad interview, he would actually speak about XXXTentacion, who at the time wasn't really that big yet. I mean, he was definitely doing numbers in the Florida underground, but he hadn't blown up with Look at Me yet, so Ugly God definitely was one of the earliest people to hop on his wave. And soon after that interview, he would also sign a deal with a record label going by the name of Asylum, which is actually really big in Europe. They have Ed Sheeran on the roster, but in America, it was something new, and Ugly God was actually the very first artist that they signed. And this was a pretty solid deal as well. Basically, all it was a single deal for Water, as well as him having to give them one album, so that's pretty good considering the fact that Lil Pump signed a deal where he had to give 5 albums to his label, and if he didn't make them their money back, he would definitely have to pay. So signing a more low-key deal was definitely a good idea by Ugly God, and he would immediately get to work on said album. So there you have it. In only 12 short months, Ugly God went from somebody who basically had no attention online at all besides being a little bit popular on Vine, having a handful of songs on SoundCloud with most of them being joke and meme songs, to a Billboard charting artist who was able to perform alongside some of the biggest rappers in the underground scene at the time, as well as getting attention from Lyrical Lemonade, DJ Vlad, No Jumper, basically all the biggest media companies, and signing a pretty big deal which most likely got him a lot of money. That is a lot of rapid fame for somebody who at the time was only 18 years old, and at this point you can see that it was starting to get to him, with him talking about him getting a lot of hate online for pretty stupid things. It was mostly people complaining about how he didn't actually like toes. There was a little bit of a controversy where apparently he had a Chucky doll and he had it before Playboi Carti, but after Playboi Carti went on to use that for a cover art on SoundCloud, a lot of people thought that Ugly God was copying him. People also claim that he stole the name for water from another artist going by the name of Young Leash, which, let's be honest, that's pretty stupid considering the fact that probably every rapper to ever live has a track named Water.
Motherfuckers is just hating on this man. Let's just be honest. People was hating on this man. They didn't like what he was doing. His music was different. It was weird to people. So yeah, people just didn't like it, man. But yeah, we just gonna fast forward a little bit and get to like where he at now.
Definitely is a funny guy. He definitely does kind of act like that, but at the same time, he's playing it up for the internet. The real Ugly God, the real guy behind the persona, is a pretty normal dude. He just so happened to find himself in this crazy world of underground hip hop, and once he got in, he completely ran off with it. But at the same time, I don't think the guy was willing to die over his music. And I feel like the death of XXXTentacion really was a wake up call for basically everybody in the SoundCloud community, because before this point, rappers definitely had died in shootings, but mostly it was all gang related stuff. But for X it was completely different because he wasn't gang affiliated. He wasn't on the internet every day talking about people and
Shout out X, man. We all know what happened to X, man. You know, that shit was tragic and you know, it can happen to anybody. So like just be aware of your surroundings. And you just never know when, you know, your family members or your loved ones will be gone, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it don't happen because of old age. So, you know, cherish them right now, bro.
people to run up on him if they had a problem. Instead, he was simply killed because he had money and fame, and people wanted to take that money away from him, and they wanted the attention that would come from killing a famous rapper. And after that, it pretty well felt like the fun was completely over. I mean, like I said in the start of the video, basically the SoundCloud wave was built off of making fun music, doing drugs, partying. It wasn't about violence. But after Pete passed away from an overdose, doing drugs didn't really seem like all that much fun anymore. And now that X had passed away by being famous didn't really seem that much fun anymore. I mean, all these guys were always talking shit online, but it really didn't feel like an in real life thing. They were beefing for the internet, they were entertaining fans, but now everything felt so much more real. And at this point, I think Ugly God decided to take himself away from the internet for a good long while because he didn't want to be a target. And you can even see a video of him driving around in a Jeep only a month after X passed away, where a couple fans pull up on him and ask him for an autograph, and he seems really freaked out, like he doesn't want to be there, which makes sense. I mean, X passed away, Little Skies actually got ran up on with a gun as well, and Ugly God probably felt like he was going to be next. So he took a pretty long hiatus off of the internet, unlike the one in 2017, which was really
This is just an opinion, but you know, it probably is true, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, he did take a break from the internet and he was gone for a while. We're gonna skip through this a little bit, blah blah blah.
had Takeoff, and he had Wintertime. Really nothing to get all that excited about. But despite that, even though he didn't have big features, how did the actual music sound? Did it impress his fan base? Well, not really. Unfortunately, with Ugly God stripping away all the funny lyrics, it basically left the project feeling pretty empty and hollow, because after all, it's not really like he has a whole lot of versatility or range when it comes to his rapping. If you take the funny away from Ugly God, you basically get any generic trap rapper, and that's basically what all of the reviews for the album said, not to mention all the old heads didn't really fuck with them anyways, so yeah, reviews.
I liked the album. I thought it was good. I actually think Ugly God is a very talented artist. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people downplay and like, you know, don't get this man as much credit as he deserved. You know what I'm saying? When it came to music, he was actually a pretty good artist. You know what I'm saying? It's just like he didn't really know where to fit in the industry. That's kind of how I feel about it. You know, he was kind of trying to figure out where his like main craft, was tight shit.
Weren't good, sales weren't good, and at this point it felt like Ugly God had fully fallen off. But I mean, hey, at least the project did hit the Billboard Hot 100 at number 46, which is like 23 spots lower than his initial project, so yeah, all around, not a very good showing for Ugly God. But hey, it didn't matter, because at least he was finally out of his record deal, he had given them the album that he promised all those years back, and now he was a fully independent artist who could do whatever he wanted. So at this point you would think it'd be time for him to get to work, start dropping non-stop singles on Spotify and SoundCloud, start building up his base, start performing all over the country, maybe go on a tour, maybe see if you can find some smaller artists or maybe some fellow washed up SoundCloud rappers that'll hop on a song with you. I mean, that definitely could get attention. It wasn't like it was completely lost for Ugly God. During 2019, he still had the chance to make it big. And that was shown by the fact that he would go on DJ Vlad a second time, No Jumper a second time, and it seems like both of these interviews were still pretty popular. He still had a fan base. People still wanted to see him make music. But then he proceeded to not really drop anything new through the rest of 2019, only returning in early 2020 to drop a collaboration mixtape with another artist going by the name of Rizzo Rizzo. And to be fair, one of the tracks off of this project went on to get a music video on Rizzo's channel, which now sits at over 500,000 plays on YouTube alone, which isn't too bad, but it definitely is a far cry from the level that Ugly God was at a couple years back. But even if his internet presence was starting to fade at this point, he still had a lot of in real life attention, with him performing at pretty big venues, and he probably
I actually like that song with Rizzo too. I meant to say that, but that was a pretty, catchy song. It wasn't nothing too crazy, but like I said, half a million ain't bad, It ain't bad, but over the time, definitely should have been more.
could have continued to do that through the following years if it wasn't for the COVID pandemic. So yeah, unfortunately he could no longer perform, but I mean, whatever, he was locked inside, he still had a big Instagram page, everybody was paying attention to the online world. Now was the perfect time for him to really recapture that former spark. I mean, think about if he got a couple of his meme tracks on TikTok, got a couple people to dance to them, he could probably have another hit on his hands. He definitely could have came out of the pandemic an even bigger artist than he was when he went into it. But around this time, Ugly God would have his first child, meaning that most of his attention would have to be focused on him and not trying to do antics online, which honestly is a good thing to do, good for your personal life, but not so good for your career. The only real notable moment from 2020 was Ugly God actually getting into a fight in front of a hospital and getting arrested, as well as appearing on a feature with Casanova, which got a music video which did pretty well. But I'm not gonna lie to you, when DJ Academics ended up promoting that music video on his page, so many people in the comments were like, holy shit, that's Ugly God. I remember Ugly God. Whatever happened to Ugly God? So that was 5 years back, and already a lot of people considered him forgotten, so nowadays it's gotten a whole lot worse. 2021 was
That's what I'm saying, man. The man literally went off the grid, bro. He went off the grid later on for something tragic, which I'm thinking he gonna say, but we gonna see, man. But that's out crazy, man. How you could just fall off, bro.
worse year for him because he actually ended up getting his Instagram page taken down, his YouTube page would get hacked with all of his music videos being deleted, and he even lost the rights to his name, with him now having to go by the name of 74 Fio because Ugly God was copyrighted by his manager. In 2022, he just straight up did nothing. I mean, I don't remember seeing anything to do with Ugly God throughout that entire year, and at this point, you would think that's the end of the story. Just another casualty of the SoundCloud wave, the 1985 effect. Ugly God only got popular off of his antics, and now that he wasn't really popping out online, his career died off. But that would all change in 2023, because something massively unexpected would happen when Ugly God actually ended up killing somebody. Yeah, that's right. This whole time, you guys didn't know, Ugly God is actually a gangster. Okay, not really. Now, the circumstances around this event are a little bit confusing. We don't really know the true story because, after all, the family is saying one thing and, of course, Ugly God is saying another, although he's never really spoken about this publicly before. Basically, from what we know, Ronaldo, if you remember him, he's Ugly God's best friend from middle school, actually ended up following Ugly God throughout most of his career, always being with him when he was doing interviews. He even appeared on No Jumper alongside him. Well, it seems like the two of them must have gotten into a little bit of an altercation. For some reason, Ronaldo's father ended up going over to Ugly God's mother's house and apparently putting a gun in her face, and then he tried to leave, and that's when Ugly God ended up shooting him and killing him. That's putting a gun. For some reason, Ronaldo's father –
Hold on. Let me listen to that one more time.
ended up going over to Ugly God's mother's house and apparently putting a gun in her face, and then he tried to leave, and that's when Ugly God ended up shooting him and killing him.
What? That's crazy. I didn't okay, so I didn't hear the whole story. So now I'm hearing the whole story. That's wild, bro. That's tough. Like, that's tough. What can you say? What can you say? What can you do? What would you do? That's crazy.
That's the main story that we heard at the time, but soon after that, one of the family members of Ronaldo actually came out and said that Ugly God had entrapped him in the house and killed him on purpose, but nothing ever really came of it because apparently the cops thought that it was self-defense. The family continued to war against Ugly God, saying that he only got off because his uncle is actually a judge, but either way, the case was dropped, and Ugly God had earned himself a lot of attention online because of this.
Police cars out here. You look in the street, stay back a little bit. This is where they're saying that he was parked at, where he received 4 bullet wounds to his face. This house right here has a camera. I don't know if it was there at the time or not. This is where his car was, his foot hit the gas after he was parked here and ran into this man's vehicle at 10:06. At 10:06, you can turn this way. At 10:06, Deborah Drive. This is where he hit the vehicle and ran into this driveway. After he was struck by the bullet, his foot hit the gas. Obviously, the car was crunk and in park. But if you make a circle for me, you see it's approximately 15 feet from 10:09. This is 10:09. Well, no, my footage won't. You can see this is 10:06. This is where his body was found. He was pronounced dead. They had 8 to 10 police cars out here. This man has been here for a very long time.
That's crazy. I'm not gonna watch this whole thing because she kind of going on, but you know, overall, that's just a wild situation, man. I don't wish death on nobody, but like you can't go around putting guns in people's face, and not expecting nothing to happen, like you just can't do that. So don't play with guns, man. And I always learn if you're gonna up that, so if you're gonna up it, do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my opinion on that.
Because a lot of people thought that this would be perfect promotion for him to be able to put out music, which he did eventually do, dropping a very small EP called Two Piece, which really didn't push the needle all that much. And then after that, he never really capitalized on it, which I don't understand why. I mean, after all, if it really was a legal self-defense case, I feel like you should take that attention and try to promote your music. But maybe Ugly God is too good of a guy for that, not really sure. Either way though,
Yeah, I'm about to say maybe he ain't even want to take it down, man. Cause like even though he was doing what he thought was right, that's still his best friend Pop. So that's still a tough situation. So that's kind of sticky, but like, yeah, we just gonna see where he at now.
besides a bunch of YouTube videos being made about him in the following years, we really wouldn't get shit from Ugly God until 2025 when he actually ended up dropping a new project called Floaterism, which had 4 tracks. And surprisingly, this is actually one of the most impressive projects that he's dropped in his career because it has a feature from Lil Yachty as well as NBA Youngboy, which is crazy. NBA Youngboy never really does features with people, but he does one with Ugly God on a random project that nobody even knows came out. So who knows, maybe Ugly God is priming himself up for a comeback.
I didn't even know this came out. I'm about to jam that shit to see how it is. But damn.
Although, to be honest, at this point, it's 2025. I mean, this guy's main relevancy really took place from 2015 to 2018, so when you think about it, it's been almost a decade. And if he really wanted to be popular, I think he would have taken the chance in 2023 to really run off with all that promotion, drop a whole project, do some music videos, make a bunch of money. But with him
Yeah, so overall, basically, he's just at a stable position, I guess, not really doing nothing, not really being too consistent, you know what I'm saying? I guess just living his life. So yeah, I guess he's still making music. That's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to see where he ended up at and you know where he came from. But yeah. Comment your thoughts down below on this video, man, and what you think. And then, like I said, I'm gonna put the whole link in the bio. So, I mean, the link in the bio so y'all can watch the whole video, you know, on your own time. But yeah, it's been Berto TV, with another reaction video. Yeah. All right, y'all boys.